once, if in fact this law is passed. So either that needs to be readdressed or better explained. As you explained it, it makes sense. In the state that it's in right now, people could come and question or ask for a waiver. Once it's in law, though, you're still saying that a waiver may, an application for waiver may in fact come to you, when I'm sure everyone who supports hoping this leads to the ban would agree we don't want any waivers.
But in that same paragraph on the bottom it said if the town permits an application to proceed, then any permits granted thereby will conform to the new laws which will be enacted after the initial application. So I kind of think that says
so
this.
this local law expires in 1 year.
It appears
this local law expires in 1 year.
It appears to me that the waiver is only talking about local law number 1, which is this one, which is actually the moratorium law, not what we hope will be passed in the interim as the permanent law. I believe that's what that's saying.
That makes sense.
See, my big question on the whole thing is why do we need a law for a moratorium? But apparently we do. And that's why we're going through all this. But I think your point is well taken, should be noted, and we'll ask about it. Make sure we don't make a mistake like that in the law. Let's start in the front and go back, and then you'll be second. Yes?
Mary Ann North of Shokan, and I support the moratorium.
Yes.
I want to stand for you. Barbara Valacour of Sampsonville. First, I would like to read a statement from my next-door neighbor, Barbara Preet, 1873 Sampsonville Road, County Road 3, because she wasn't able to come. I want to put on record my full support and gratitude for the actions of my neighbors and members of the town board in protecting my personal health, safety, and property. I support a moratorium on fracking. That's my neighbor, Barbara. And for me, and on behalf of my husband, who's not here, I definitely support a moratorium on fracking. And I was thinking today, I just want to say, you know, if I were an astronaut looking down at our beautiful planet, blue and green planet, and thinking what was going on possibly in my neighborhood, but going on nearby, I would think, what are we doing? What are we doing? Poisoning our air and poisoning our water. And I'm so grateful to you, who I feel are very supportive and unanimous about stopping this practice. We have other technologies. So I'm really, really grateful for that. And I feel this is our civil rights, and that the ultimate end is a civil rights ordinance to protect ourselves against this fracking. So thank you very much.
Yes. Electrician.
Hey, Jim. I'm Jim Sifranco from West Shokan. I support the moratorium. One thing I'd like you to consider is on some of the terms on the storage and the disposal and transportation. I'm wondering if the board has considered what kind of teeth that will have. For instance, if somebody disposes of brine in the town of Oliv, is there any kind of provision for a fine, or do they just get cited? I'm not quite sure it goes after that.
I think that would be addressed in the law itself. Yes, miss. Yes.
I'm Elaine Ralston from Sampsonville, and I support the moratorium.
I'm Philip Monteleone from Olive Bridge, and I support the moratorium. But my question is, why is it only 1 year? Is there something that's going to happen in a year that we will have to
No, we're hoping to do it a lot sooner than that, but it does give us time to get down the road. We don't have to do this again.
Could it be a longer moratorium? I mean, because it gives you a chance to breathe.
Well,
moratorium so that we can get the law passed for it. So
That's a draft of the permanent law.
There are moratoriums, there are certain legalities that they can only do, and speaking with the lawyer, one of the things he said is he usually only does moratoriums for 6 months.
Oh.
But he felt comfortable doing this for the year to give us a chance to get all the information. possible. So any longer than a year usually doesn't stand up very well.
Thank you.
Yes, miss.
I'm Amy Fraden from West Shokan, and I support the moratorium. And my mom couldn't be here for health reasons, and she supports the moratorium. She's from West Shokan as well. And I so seldom ever hear the word conservation anymore. And I'm old enough to remember Jimmy Carter for at least that we had all sorts of, the country as a whole was really participating in a lot of activity around conservation. And at the Albany Museum, they have a wonderful little book that explains that if every person, flushes the toilet one time less. I wish our town could adopt a conservation, whatever I forget there's a name for it, but just to wake that up again, because we would not need any of this stuff if everybody just cut a tiny piece away, and we could be one of the towns that's a banner for that again. So, and thank you for your work.
Thank you. Let's go to this item.
I'm Rudy Hunter from Olive Bridge. I support the moratorium and thank the board for their hard work.
Yes.
I'm Valerie Lynette. I'm from Boyceville. I just wanted to echo what I've heard here. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you to my neighbors and the other community members who I know have been doing a lot of phone calls and research and writing and talking and educating. So my appreciation.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm Erwin Marcus from Boyceville, and I want to thank you for the work that you've done. I support the ban. And I don't know if anybody knew this, but I read this yesterday that Vermont was the first state to ban fracking for oil and gas.
Yep.
So I have the article if anybody wants to see it.
Yes.
It's the Boyceville contingent. I'm Christina Himberger from Boyceville, and I wanted to come up here because I actually wrote something and prepared it. So this I'm reading to you on behalf of the community rights group Oliv Defense Against Fracking, affectionately known as ODAF. And on behalf of this community and the hundreds of residents who have demonstrated their support for the fracking bans in the town of Olive, we'd like to thank again and applaud your decisive response to leadership to enact a moratorium, subsequent community rights-based ordinance and zoning laws that will ban all activities relating to shale gas extraction processes. ODAF does support the swift enactment of a moratorium to pave the way for the town laws. And to underscore the importance and urgency of this, and this is why I'm so glad we're here today, it's great we're moving forward. I just wanted to summarize a report that came out late last week from the Environmental Advocates of New York. The title of the report is called Out of Sight, Out of Mind, New York's Failure to Track or Treat Fracking Waste Endangers Public Health and the Environment. So this organization, through the Freedom of Information Act, was able to get DEC tracking records for the 6,000 wells that are vertical wells producing now in New York State that are active wells. They were able to obtain these reports, and what they called from the information turned out to be quite alarming, that the drillers, their waste reports say only that the waste, which, if anybody doesn't know this by now, the waste can be radioactive. It's what comes up from far under the ground. It has radium in it. It has all these chemicals that are the toxic cocktail that the energy industry has loophole and exemption from everything. Is what it is. So the study was done, and they looked at these reports. The drillers' waste reports say only that the waste was hauled away or sent to approved facilities or used for road spreading with no further details given. So there's been a lot of talk about brine and Ulster County trying to get a handle on that. The question is, where did this waste go if there's no tracking of it?